It's the Joe Padula Show, Clarksville's conversation.
Absolutely. All right, well, hey, let's move forward, okay? Because Tennessee is about to sign into law a transgender sports bill requiring students to prove their sex at birth. This is in order to play in middle and high school sports. So is it transphobic or is it fair? Well, women picket D.C. supporter Brittany Pracchia. She will let us know now on the Joe Padula Show. Absolutely. Make sure to subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Don't forget to like. You know what? That was a sound effect in between her ears. Okay?
I was trying to help.
Leave your comments and definitely help us out.
Blah, 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 blah.
By sharing this video in your so much for the serious conversation. Here I am. I'm trying to be a very Tom Brokaw.
I'm glad she wasn't here during the discussion of the shooting and such.
Oh,
yeah, that's
we were
true.
able to cover that topic.
Wouldn't that be
with
great?
The gravitas that
And in
it deserved,
Colorado,
I think.
pew pew. Right?
I'm just glad
Yeah.
she wasn't. We weren't making any jokes about that.
Just trying to help.
Yeah, I know. And I act like a kid. And right.
Yeah.
Give me thumbs up if you like my interning.
I wish I had a middle finger up emoji.
Good luck on that one.
Well, check this out. So, Tennessee, this sports bill requiring students to prove their sex at birth in order to play middle school, high school sports. It's heading to Governor Bill Lee's desk to be signed into law. So the bill, it was passed. Okay, and on the third consideration earlier this week, as in with a vote of 71-16, with 5 not voting. I hate when they don't vote. You know what I mean? The 5.
They might have been out sick or something.
Yeah, I
You
know.
don't have to show up every time.
No, but you can text it in now. I
No,
believe.
you can't text in
Yeah.
a vote. There's rules.
Oh,
I thought they just reached over and were like,
Yeah.
No, I'm saying you can.
I got you.
Yeah.
You don't have to be there every day as a politician.
well,
Look, it's got overwhelming majority. Why do you need to?
They got businesses running stuff.
Yeah.
And lobbyists and stuff. They got to.
before we get into the bill, Brittany, if you could explain what this event you are at and what is Women Picket DC.
It was kind of protesting Biden's Equality Act.
Okay.
Which basically would replace sex-based rights with gender identity. So there's no longer women's safe spaces or women's sports because anyone can say they're a woman. So gender identity is just, something kind of made up or something personal to you, whereas your sex is, how you're born. You can't change that.
Now, okay, so and that's what this bill is directly hitting on, saying that
Right.
if biological male, you cannot compete in the youth sports as a female, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And we've seen the around the country there. We saw in Texas where the female, the biological female who's taking the hormones and the drugs to become a male, win the state championship in female wrestling in Texas. We saw in Connecticut the 2 biological males that were doing the transitioning to females become the state champions in track and field in Connecticut. And then even at the college level, the biological male track athlete who was finishing around 200th in his competition became the state champion after he transitioned to being a female in the hurdles. Why do you think it's not fair, or have you? Because I can understand why you think it's not fair. How's it affected you personally?
I mean, I don't play sports.
Right.
So that part doesn't affect me personally, but I have a daughter who I guess might play sports, and I would hate for her to, lose out on doing that to biological males, lose out on potential scholarships that are set aside for women. And that's not to say that trans people don't deserve scholarships or to play sports.
Right.
They do, and they have the right to do those things. I think they should even make scholarships maybe specifically for trans athletes. that would not be any, that's not hindering women. You're not taking something away that is already set aside for women.
That's when I really started to get emotionally involved in this topic and conversation. I was watching the video of the two biological males transitioning to become women in high school in Connecticut, and they broke the state record and everything. And the three girls that lost behind them, the faces at that state tournament, knowing that their scholarship was gone.
Yeah, and there's a lawsuit.
Yes, the
going on.
Parents were right.
Right. Because of that, because these girls have worked their whole, high school
Yeah.
careers to do that, and even boys like in high school, in their sport, have beaten out women's athletes, like women Olympians, even.
Yeah.
So men and women are just biologically different in a lot of ways. Once a male has gone through male puberty, there's all kinds of advantages. They have like a larger lung capacity, larger bone density, and they're faster. I mean, they destroy the women's records. That's why we have it separated.
The only issue after puberty, though, and I don't know if you ladies go through this, but we leave pubes at the urinal. I don't even know how that happens. Did you ever go into a urinal and just see pubes all over it?
Never gone into a urinal.
I don't know who's doing it.
Somebody's doing
Somebody's
it.
doing it out there.
Somebody's got a receding pube line.
Like
Come on,
they're
guys.
trimming it while they're in there.
I don't know what they're doing in there.
David Shelton.
Oh, that was
Yes,
that was me. I'm
No, I'm not blaming David Shelton. I'm going to David.
David, come on, David.
Okay, that's awkward.
David, your thoughts on this?
Okay, let me kind of preface this for a minute because I hear what you're saying. I truly do. I have been an outspoken advocate for LGBT equality for about 15 years now, so there's a lot of research that I have done on this issue, and the two major points that I really want to try to get across. One of those is the harsh reality that trans people have just in the way they live. We know that the lesbian, gay the LGBT population typically is about 4 to 5%. The saying is higher now due to other surveys they've done.
Well, they keep adding letters.
But when you get the T, the transgender,
Yeah.
this is a very small percentage of a very small percentage of people
Uh-huh.
that we're dealing with. There are major sports agencies like the Olympics and other different types of agencies that work with this issue in a very, very difficult way because there's a certain amount of compassion that has to be dealt with, and we also have to deal with reality. One of those is dealing with some of the I believe it is a certain amount of hormones and requirements that
Right.
a
Yep.
trans woman would have to have a certain amount of estrogen in her body in order to be able to qualify as a female in the Olympics, and in the same way in certain other agencies like that. I don't know enough about each of the sports organizations to really be able to talk about those authoritatively, but I know that they are there. This particular bill is a law that is meant to deal with this many people.
Yeah.
And it's not even a problem in Tennessee. We don't see that here.
So then why is it even being brought up in Tennessee? then?
The harsh reality here is trans people look different than most of us. I know quite a few trans people. And I hear the derogatory comments from everybody around, including using words like freak or shim, using words that are meant to dehumanize these people.
Yeah,
And
the
that
name
is
calling.
the attitude I am convinced is what is behind all of this, because it doesn't affect anyone in Tennessee because we don't have this. It's not a problem, and now we're using the law as a wedge, as a club to deal with this kind of thing very authoritatively in a way where don't you dare try to be transgender and come be a part of a sports organization.
See, I see it a little different though. I see it. It's Tennessee being not on the because normally Tennessee is on a reactive side, but this is being on a proactive side. Where see what's going on in the country. And
they are reacting to what's going on in the country.
It wants
There's
to make
nothing
sure that it
proactive
doesn't
about this.
become a problem here in the state first before, because like in Texas,
Right.
like in Connecticut, where you got these lawsuits that are actually happening, because you got to follow the money, right?
And there's a place for that. There's
Yeah.
a place for the difficult conversation that needs to be held. We've got to be able to talk with student athletes, both adults and minors, to be able to have this conversation to say, how do we work this out? How do we find a place for this person who has been shafted their entire life? Whenever you deal with a trans person, the idea of a nebulous sort of it's just a thought of being trans, that is absolute bull honky.
Understood. And I was going to make a joke when you said shafted, but I withheld.
But I
You
understand
want $50
that.
bucks.
So-
Another $50.
The reality here is
how do-
that these are people that go through years of therapy.
I hear you.
Just to
So
get
then,
to
when
that
it comes
point.
to the sports, then what is the available option? What's the answer? Do we do a separate category, or?
Dude, I don't know.
Right.
What is the available option? Get the people that are together. Get the parents together. How do we make a space for this person? How do we? This person is very skilled in running, and they ran fast as a teen, as a male or as a female, or as a person that is a female transitioning to a male. The whole bathroom bill is one that has been a constant frustration of mine to try to explain to people. People just need to go to the bathroom. Well, you need to go to the right one. Okay, well, have you seen a trans man? They're more masculine than you are. Do you want them in a women's room? No.
Well, the whole bathroom bill thing, and
It's all about reactionary to people that are different from us. There are so few people that are involved.
but these bills are also protecting. You like say. In Tennessee, like take Brittany's daughter, okay? Say she's an athlete. Say she is competing for a scholarship, and she loses out to it. And that's just hypothetical, but it's actually happened in Connecticut. So it does protect, like a bill like this does protect the female.
Is there a way to do that
Right.
without shutting people out?
But also
That's the question.
protect the female, right?
You want to protect women, and one of the things that I know about the trans population, this is a population that is consistently under threat from being beaten, reduced to just
Right,
the
which
amount of kind of
is
things that we're dealing
illegal.
with.
It is illegal to beat anyone based on their race, creed, religion,
but
preference
not
of
their sexual orientation,
Absolutely.
and not their gender identity. None
Lawyer
of that
Wayne, is it illegal?
It is illegal to beat someone because of any reason, including
Yeah, right,
their,
right.
their
It's not classified.
orientation.
It is classified as a hate crime, but not in Tennessee. So that's one of the things that we do know about that. It's
Maybe
not
we get the
about
ball rolling on
legality
that,
of
though.
It's the reality that trans people are targeted.
I hear you, but it's only because in this situation, when it comes to sports, I don't believe that the transgender community is being targeted. I believe it is the transgender community that wants to play sports. Okay, have at it. I loved playing sports.
So
no doubt
why
about
can't
it.
we find a way to do that?
Well,
But
so-
in the same aspect, they're protecting an entire gender itself.
Well, we've mostly confined this to the idea that this only applies to someone who's a trans person.
Yeah.
Right? But this bill applies broadly, right? Because one of the things that people are worried might happen is somebody comes up with a rule that says, look, we're not going to have sports divided based on sex anymore. We're not going to have boys sports and girls sports. We're going to have sports divided based on gender identity. All right? And gender identity is whatever you say it is. Let's say that let's say that they make a rule like that, right? That we're not going to inquire. The government's not going to inquire as to your status. You get to tell us what your status is, right? You tell us. Mark a box whether you're male or female.
Right.
Okay? If you allow sports to be organized that way, people are going to mess with it. People absolutely will mess with that. And that's probably, as you said, more of a concern than a trans person wanting to play a particular sport. It's someone who no one would really consider to be trans. Just a
Taking
guy
advantage.
saying, you know what? I can sign up to play with the girls instead. Watch this, guys. I'm going to be famous on YouTube. Goes out there, destroys the weightlifting competition or whatever because he signed up as a girl, right? Because people have done that in some unregulated the weightlifting stuff. Nobody cares about.
Do that as a joke.
I know.
Oh, you don't. You spend some time on YouTube.
Yeah,
right?
It's
guys will find a weight like a local weightlifting competition where it's just open ID. Tell us which category you want to be in, because people are like, we're not going to check down there. Just tell us, guy or girl, sign up. And some guy walks into the girls' competition, wins it, and it creates a big stink. Everybody hates it. They're like, ha ha ha. You post it online, you get your laughs and stuff. But I know that's not happening on in high school sports and stuff right now. There's no evidence that people are doing that kind of thing on any large scale in Tennessee. But that is one of the factors that people.
Imagine when you realize that you go through all that counseling and you're advised to begin the process of living as what they see as their true gender. That is not a moment. That's not an event. That is a process, and it is a very very difficult and vulnerable process for each one of these
no
people.
doubt about that.
And
we're just talking about the sports
aspect. What I heard
aspect.
was a trivialization of all of that. That was extremely insulting to the entire LGBT community, and I just have to speak to that because that was absolutely wrong characterization.
Well, what we're talking about is, or at least me personally, is the sports aspect of it.
And the idea of just simply going out, I'm just going to be a girl to go play. That is ridiculous.
David,
it's a joke.
David, of course it's a joke. You got people
Yes,
being
it's a bad joke.
It's a bad joke, right? There's people doing it.
They're doing it in women's prisons now as well. In Washington State, they've allowed men
Well,
to self
David,
when I
nobody's
was
trying
10,
to.
we had opposite day.
David, nobody's trying to insult you, okay, or an entire community here. That's not the goal. The goal, what was said here, was saying it's happening.
It does happen. So
Right.
let the adults have a conversation about it.
That's right.
That's the point. Don't make a law, use it as a club, and slam every trans person. Yeah, you can't play.
Yeah, well, you got to make a law to protect the females then.
Trans women are female.
No, the females, the
they are
biological
women in
females.
their lives.
This is a
They
law.
live their life as a woman, as they go through all the processes.
I hear you,
all
but
of the
David,
prejudices,
this is a
all of
bill, and this is just sports category,
it. Right.
protecting biological women to compete in sports fairly. That's the argument.
This
Well,
this is how this is how arduous this concept gets, and it's just it's always going to exist this way.
Without
because
compassion, without understanding, without listening to.
But here's the thing.
well,
you
well, so,
said that.
so
we-
there's so where's the compassion, David, for biological women? Where's that compassion?
So again, this is not something that is meant to be an attack on women at all.
Well, it is,
Trans
though.
people are people trying to live their lives.
And so are women.
But just like our
and
words,
women, and what you described earlier about them being marginalized, victimized, that's what we still talk about women. Women
Yes,
are murdered
absolutely.
and beaten. So
Multiply
why
that times 6.
No,
That's the
women are the
trans
larger
community.
biological women are the larger population. You're talking about a marginalized
So it's just
community.
numbers.
There's nothing that says trans people cannot have their own spaces with their own experiences. They do not have to
They're not
encroach.
aliens. They're human.
They're trans people,
But-
which is fine. Nobody's disrespecting trans people by calling them
That's
trans
exactly
people.
what this bill is, to disrespect to trans people.
then
I
what?
don't-
Then
I
what?
can't
Then what
agree with you
do?
about that.
Who calls the transgender people in the transgender community? What do they call themselves? Humans, people, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when you have a female category, you're no longer just a person, right? Now you're identifying as a female.
They're going from male to female
Right.
because that's their true identity.
But David, what I don't appreciate is how you said that we were insulting. We
See,
did
what's
nothing
the-
here that was
the-
insulting, my friend.
It can be taken as an insult.
I hear
that
you,
is
but I'm
that is
insulted.
a
I'm
men-
insulted that you called us insulting, me personally.
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
Lawyer Wayne said was wrong.
No, but I
That
was
what was
agreeing
said
with
here.
Lawyer Wayne, so that means I'm insulting. I invited you into the house here. Mm-hmm. Listen, only you can let yourself be offended and be insulted. Nobody here had the intention of making you angry or upsetting or insulted. That's the problem, David.
Let me ask
this
you this.
bill. No. I'm talking for a second, my friend. Okay.
Why is there why is
hey,
there not a
excuse me.
transgender person in here having this conversation with you?
Put it out there. Again, you're talking about a less than 1% of the population, especially in Clarksville, Tennessee. Okay? And I don't have to wait to do a news story until I get a certain guest in here. It's a topical issue, David. Am I right or am I wrong? And I always invite people that disagree with me on this show.
We do.
Always.
And just see, the problem is that we have created such a brick wall.
No, you did by saying we were being insulting to you.
Yeah, we either conform to the talking points of the transgender community,
Well, okay,
or you are
transphobic.
transphobic, or you can't say anything
I am
about
not
it.
transphobic. Nobody in here is.
Nobody said that saying that trans people are trans is diminishing any of our talk. But the minute that we call trans people trans, we're being transphobic, or we're being hateful, or we're not correct in our speak. And that's just not the case. That's just not fact.
And you know,
That's just not fact.
we got to. David, you get the last word, but we got to get out of here.
Understood.
I got trivia tonight. Your final thoughts.
Final thought, very simply, those trans people stepping out, just stepping out, just to live, just to say, I am a male or female.
Right.
Just the amount of risk and person and vulnerability that they have at that moment is absolutely critical. Just saying anything, even just trivializing that, even with a YouTube joke of somebody playing sports in drag.
Right.
And you're doing it all for laughs. That is what I said was insulting.
We agree.
So let's be clear on
We
that.
agree. I don't know, but you were mad at Lawyer Wayne for even bringing that up, and that's a problem. Lawyer Wayne was not saying it was funny.
That's the joke, and the trans people are not jokes.
David,
they're trying to live it and just play sports. And what they need to do is have people around that can listen. Okay, you can play sport, but you cannot qualify for a scholarship as this unless you meet this criteria. And those criteria, that's what has to be decided between people that know what they're doing, know the sport. I'm not the person to ask because
Right.
I still think you have touchdowns in baseball. So, so that's the really hard conversation, but it
Right.
doesn't need a law to blast it.
well, David, I'm glad you're here today, and
Thank you.
And I love you, brother. You know that.
I love you too, man.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you letting me just speak my mind on that. So.
Well, you're going to have a hell of a podcast coming up, and
got that.
I look forward to promoting that and pushing it.
Yeah,
I
we'll talk
can't
more
wait.
about that if
I
we can.
can't wait. It's going to be great. Tell you, it's going to work. It's going to be something
It
special.
will. It's going to be awesome.
We'll reveal more about that in a little bit. Let's see. Lawyer Wayne, what'd you learn on the show today?
I learned got a lot of new proposed laws in Tennessee.
Yes.
Guns, sports, all kinds of interesting stuff.
Well, I'm glad we got
Busy
a lawyer
legislature.
on the show then. Nice job, LawyerWayne.com. Check it out. Free consultation. And his phone number, his cell phone, is right on LawyerWayne.com. So get that number, and he'll answer it when you call at 2 a.m. Test it out today. What's up, Brittany? How you doing? What'd you learn on the show today?
I guess I learned about gun permits as well.
Yeah.
And that the trans issue is just as contentious in real life as it is on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a crazy world, huh?
It
But
is.
I'm glad that we're able to sit down and have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I appreciate it.
I'll always defend that. No doubt.
It's the Joe Padula Show.
Bada bing.
Clarksville's conversation.